Where's the rhythm, Johan? Hello everybody, Johan Bessie here from Charisma Performing Arts, and welcome to another Voice Matters episode. Today I wanted to talk about how to audition my amateur choir. And when I say amateur, I literally mean non-professional. So I mean, that's most choirs, right? School choirs, community choirs. I'm not talking about professional choirs where singers get paid to sing. And I'm not even talking about amateur choirs that perform on a professional level, because there are lots of those as well, hey. Amateur choirs in the sense that the singers don't get paid, but the choir performs at a very high standard, a very high quality repertoire. They sing in A-class venues. So I'm not talking about auditioning for those kinds of choirs. That's a whole different discussion. But really today I want to focus on mainly school choirs and community choirs. So over the last 30 years, I have worked with, hundreds of choirs all over the world. And I've auditioned many singers for lots of different choirs, from 6 to 8 year olds, foundation phase choirs in schools, through to upper primary, middle school, high school, and also adult choirs. And I started out very, when I was young, I started out very ambitious, right? And I had a very rigorous audition process, and I thought I'm just going to be very professional and very thorough and whatever. But really, experience has taught me that simplify, just find out what the core things are that you really want to test on that level. And so I've refined my process, simplified it, and that's what I would like to share with you today. So when I'm auditioning these kinds of choirs, there are 3 things that I mainly look for. Number 1, an unaffected, naturally produced sound. Number 2, pitch sensibility, right? Can this person identify the correct pitch by hearing, and can they place their voice on the correct pitch? In other words, can they also hear their voice? And then the third thing that I'm looking for is personal connection, personality. Can I connect with this person? Can I work with this person? And also in these auditions, I don't test range. I don't do na. Let's see how high can you go. No, I don't do that. I don't test range, and I don't test vocal agility and those kinds of things. I'm looking for good quality, raw, natural talent, instinct, gifting. I will teach the singers the technique. I will develop the muscles. I will develop their range. I will develop their vocal agility. I don't try to test that with a school kid in an audition. Right, and then the next thing, main thing that I have to determine in the audition is the voice type. Now, I've got a 3-minute Thursdays on voice types that I would invite you to check out. The issue with voice types is most people think that you have to get a sticker stuck to your forehead for the rest of your life saying soprano 1 or baritone or whatever. I don't agree with that. For this kind of setting, we don't need that. Okay, of course people has a particular voice type, but mainly when I'm listening to a voice, I'm looking to determine, is this a light voice? Is it a darker voice? Or something in between, which we will call a middle voice. That's the main thing I'm trying to determine there. And then once I have put together my choir for the new season, then I will see how many light voices do I need to balance out the dark voices. Because most of you who work with voices, if you're a choir director like me, you will know that the darker voices are normally heavier as well, / bigger voices, whereas the light voices are smaller voices, and they are light. So typically in a choir of 60, I might have, if I have only 2 parts in my primary school choir, I might have literally close to 40 sopranos and only 20 altos. And that should balance out. So I don't have a predetermined idea before my audition process. I want 10 first sopranos, I want 8 second sopranos, I want 11 altos. No, I don't do that. In the audition, I just determine for my own sake, write down light, middle, or dark so that I know what I'm going to deal with. And then when I get my new choir together for the first time in a room, then I work out this balance, this weighting of light versus dark and middle if I have 3 or 4 parts. And this is why sometimes it happens that a singer will maybe be soprano 2 this year in my choir based on this weighting of the collective sound that I have. But next year, after my new intake, that singer might be alto 1 because it depends on the makeup of the group. I want to tell you this story quick. When I was at university, we had a visiting choir specialist called Professor Kåre Hanken from Norway, and he was world-renowned choir music educator. So I was in a choir that acted as like a demonstration choir for this workshop. So there were many, musicians and choir conductors and people in the audience. And then this choir that I was part of, we sang a Brahms motet. Then Professor Hanken came up on the stage and he said, there's something wrong with the men here. So he said to the ladies, just relax for a minute. And he got all the men to sing the same simple melody over and over, something like this. Na, 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 just over and over. So we would sing it. We were a small choir, small chamber choir, like 16 singers or so. So then he would move us around. He would say, okay, you move there, you move there. And then everybody sing again. Na, 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 na. And he just keeps listening and watching. And then he moves us around. Then after a few minutes, he was done. And he said, okay, these people will be the basses in this choir, and these people will be the tenors. And interestingly, I was put on the tenor side by Professor Hanken. So, of course, big mouth that I am, I raised my hand and I said, Professor, sorry, but I'm not a tenor. I'm a baritone, so I sing bass 1 in this choir. And then Kåre Hanken said something that I will never forget and that changed the way I view this whole thing of voice types in choirs. He said, you might be a bass 1 in a different choir, but in this choir, you are tenor 2. Right? So I have a middle voice. I'm a baritone. I'm a light baritone. So I can sing tenor. It depends. If all the other guys in the men's section of the choir have darker voices than me, then guess what? I've got one of the lighter voices and I will sing tenor. Many times, as a baritone, I have to sing the bass line because all the guys that are there have lighter voices than me. I hope that makes sense. So, after I've determined the basic voice type grouping of the singer who auditions for my choir, the next thing I do, obviously, is I test pitch, right? The singer's ability to sing, stay in a key and sing the correct pitch. So what I normally do is I give singers, way before the auditions, I tell them, if you want to audition, there are 3 songs that you can choose from to sing in your audition. And you have to sing, let's say, a verse and a chorus of this song or a verse of this song, depending on the song and how long the song is and whatever. And they have to sing it a cappella. And also, I don't give them a particular pitch. I just say, which song did you choose? They say, Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. And I say, okay, off you go. And they sing. Because I want to see what they instinctively choose, what pitch range they instinctively choose to sing in. So the reason I don't get especially school-aged children to choose their own audition song is because they don't have a clue how to choose a song for an audition. I've had kids come into a choir audition hip-hop rapping. I'm like, okay, I cannot really tell much about your pitch and the placement of your voice and stuff by that. So I give them songs like, I heard there was a secret chord David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't. So a song that is simple, familiar, or if it's not so familiar to them, they can quickly learn it. It has a bit of range, but not too much. Again, I'm not testing how high and low can they sing, right? Or something like, Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. So I give them 3 or 4 different options to choose from. That way I can tell when they sing that a cappella, in other words, without accompaniment, no backing tracks, no piano, nothing, I can really tell very quickly, can they sing the intervals correctly? The thirds, the fourths, the fifths, the sixths, whatever is in the melody of that song. How good is their intonation on that? And do they stay in the same key from beginning to end? Right? And then secondly, I also test pitch in an abstract way. Because once you start learning choir repertoire, for a big part of the learning of a new song, it's very abstract to the singers if they don't know the song, especially if it's a foreign language or from a different period in music history. It's something that they're not familiar with. It's a bit abstract, so I test their ability to follow me in an abstract way, like this. I say to them, I'm going to play and sing 3 notes that I want you to copy me. And first I'll start off with simple major and minor chords in different inversions, right? So I might do this. I'd say, listen to this. Da, 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 copy. And I get them to just copy me. And I'll see, do they copy the pitch correctly? Maybe a major chord like this. Da, da, da. And then they sing that. When it's a higher caliber choir, where my choir is more skilled, I might even go to diminished chords like this. Da, 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 because that's tricky. And even sometimes extreme, I'll go augmented. Da, da, da. If especially a child, but any person, can copy that accurately, then I know. They can identify, internalize the pitch from the piano and my voice, and they can definitely hear their own voice well enough to place their voice on the correct pitch. Also, depending on the level and the age, I might even do this. I'm going to say to them, I'm going to play 2 different pitches, 2 different notes at the same time. And I always do an example. I'll say it might sound something like this. And I'll say, can you hear there's a lower one and a higher one? Right? So I'm going to play both, and then I'm going to say, hey, Jimmy, I want you to sing the higher note for me, the one that's higher, the one that you think sits on top, whatever. I use descriptions like that. Sing it for me on da. Just listen, take a second to listen, and then sing like this. Da. Then I'll go, did you hear that? And they go, oh yeah, I heard that. I'll go, the low note will be da. So I do a little demonstration. I say, so this was my audition. Now it's your turn. And then I play something in a very comfortable pitch range, a 4th or a 5th or a 6th, like this. Low note, da, or high note, da. This is very abstract, especially for young children. So I don't do it a lot with like primary school kids. But my high school and my adults, I sometimes do that with. It's a really good indication as well. Can they differentiate between the high and the low? If I need even more clarification, maybe it's a borderline situation, or the standard of auditions are really high, and I have to make sure. Then I sing a little melody, a little song. For little kids, primary school kids, I do what I call the happy song. So I sing a phrase, I tell them, give them good instruction. I say, I'm going to sing a phrase, a line, and then I want you to copy me. All right. And it goes like this. This is a happy song. Your turn. Why don't you sing along? Go. All day long I'll be singing the song. Go. Singing the happy song. There you go. Well done, Jimmy. All right, so I'll do like that. Very quick. They actually catch on quickly most of the time. I can tell a lot, right? Intervals, Can they feel the tonality? Everything. I'm also seeing some rhythmic things there, which is good. So very, very simple. If I want to go one step further, then I do a minor song. So I do D major, and you might have noticed as well, by the way, that I don't play every single note. I don't play that while they sing. You don't duplicate a singer's pitch exactly. Why? Because then it's harder for them to hear their voice. So I played chords. This is a happy song. If a child or an adult, if a singer cannot copy that, then I'm going to wonder whether I'll be able to work with them in my choir, right? Again, depending on the level of the choir. So then that's D major, right? I like D major. Then I do D minor, and I do a sad song like this. This is a sad song. Copy. See what I do? Play chords. Nobody sings along. Go. All day long, sad song. Your turn. Nobody sings along. Go. Something simple like that works really well. So after I've sussed out the pitch ability of this singer, then of course I want to test the rhythmic ability as well. Now, if I'm smart, I will listen really carefully when they sing their first a cappella song, and while they do these kinds of things that I just showed you, I will be able to pick up, do they know where the beat is? Because that's the main thing. Complexity of rhythmic patterns within a beat, that's something that a singer develops over time, right? As their frame of reference develops, as they spend time singing lots and lots of different kinds of music. So I'm not so fussed about that, but the main thing is, can they feel where the beat is? The spaces in between the notes. That's what it's about, right? And I found that the simplest way to check for rhythm sensibility, can they feel where the beat is to do clapping. So I say to them, get your hands ready. I'm going to clap a rhythm, and then I want you to copy me. Okay? And then we'll do another one, and maybe even another one. And you just copy exactly what you hear. All right. So for younger children, I'll do something very simple like this. Go. Right? If they can't do that, I'll do more simple, something familiar like this. Most of them can do that, but some will not leave the gap properly. Then I know they don't know where the beat is, right? Then I might do something more complex like this. Pa, 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 pa. And with my older singers, I will even throw in triplets. But first I'll set the beat, and I'll do all my claps in the same beat. I don't try to confuse them. I'm just trying to find out, do they know where the beat is? So let's say I'll do something simple like this. And they go, da, 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 da. Then I go like this. Da, 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 da. Ka-bam, bam, right? So if they can feel that triplet, man, then I score them a 9 out of 10 for their rhythmic ability. And by the way, I didn't mention this before, but I score all the things that I'm testing out of 10. Very simple. I add the scores together, and then when I'm done with my whole audition process, I feed it all into a spreadsheet, and then I can see exactly who did in the 90 percentile, who's in the 80s, who's in the 70s, where was the average for the audition process, where can I make my cutoff and start playing with the numbers. You have to have a process. You have to have a process. All right, so clapping like that, and if I'm still unsure, I'll do something rhythmic like this. Pa, 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 copy. ba 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 ba. Right? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. So I can see, can they feel where the beat is, right? I've just made up little things like that over the years. That works really, really well. So that is a simple way to test rhythmic sensibility, perception, and application. One thing that is very important to me is to chat a lot with a singer in an audition room. I don't make it formal. I don't make it, abstract and impersonal. No, I try to make it warm, open, inviting. But also the chatting tells me something about that singer. It tells me where they come from. Have they done any music before? Have they sung in choirs before? Do they play a musical instrument? But the big thing I want to find out is, well, two things. The first one is, how badly do you want this? You can tell by how a singer talks to you about singing and about music and about this moment in their life where they're auditioning for your choir. You can tell how badly they want it. And that's important. That hunger, the why, right? The reason. And the second thing that I can tell from chatting a lot with my singer in the audition room is, can I connect with this person? Now, this doesn't mean that I have certain preferences, like certain preconceived ideas about what kind of personality types I like, connect with, what kind of a look, what kind of race or gender. You know what I mean? Like, obviously not. And I cannot have 60 people in my choir who are all like me. Please, no. That's going to be a disaster, right? No. We need the variety and all of that. So I don't have preconceived ideas. But I have to feel like I can work with this person. I can find a way. Maybe they have very different kind of wiring. Maybe they think differently. Maybe they approach internalized instructions differently. So I take the time. My auditions take much longer than many of my colleagues because I build in time to chat, to converse, to connect, to communicate, because I think it's very important. And yeah, I just want to add to that. I was touching on their past experience and musical knowledge and skill. It's not super important to me. I mean, at a school level, the types of school choirs that I've worked with in my life, mostly, when a child comes in to audition, most of them have no prior experience. They might have sung in a choir. If I'm in middle school, they might have sung in a primary foundation choir or something. But most of them do not know how to read from a score, music notation, staff notation. Most of them don't know about sharps and flats, different keys, different time signatures, whatever. Most of them don't play another musical instrument. So I'm not going to hold that against them. I'm going to say, here's some good raw material that I can work with. Here's a person that I can connect with. Here's someone who's really eager to learn, right? To join this group that I'm leading and to learn and to sing because they love it. I will teach them how to use sheet music. I will teach them the foundational stuff along the way. That to me is definitely not a deal breaker at all. Let's say I work with a choir that has advanced over the years. They take part in international competitions and stuff like that. And the standard is just very high, right? Because I've built over years. Then of course, if somebody says, look, I play grade 6 violin, I play the piano, I've been singing in choir since I was 5 and I'm now 15, then of course that's going to count points, towards them being selected for my choir. But actually, they shouldn't even have to tell me those things. I should be able to pick up the musicianship, the skill, the sensitivity, the artistic sensibility the control. I should be able to pick all those things up just from the way they audition, even without them telling me that they've got all that experience. So we must be really careful to just disqualify someone because they say, oh, I don't know how to read music or something like that. And then I just want to say, in a school choir context especially, it is a good idea. And I've worked hard at many schools that I've worked at over the years. It's a good idea to build a structure and a culture where there's a junior choir, or whatever you want to call it, and a senior choir, or even different levels, right? So that you can build a standard. You can keep raising the quality of your choir program, right? And then at most of my schools where I've established this and taught them how to build this kind of culture, guess what? The standard just keeps going higher and higher and higher all the time. And then when the right time comes, I have a rule that says you cannot sing in the senior choir or the upper choir or the performance choir if you haven't sung in a lower level choir, the junior choir. Not that it's lower level in terms of quality, just in terms of age and skill. You have to learn some things there before you can come here. Otherwise, you start from scratch every year. Taking in a third of your choir will be new intakes where maybe all of them or some of them or the biggest part of them don't know how to read music. They don't know how you work. They have no foundational knowledge and experience. So that makes it very difficult to build quality in your choir program. So definitely have different choirs, at least 2 different choirs that people can sing in your school. First a junior, then a senior, or call it what you like, so that you can build that kind of quality. So I know that's a lot of information. This is a very complex thing, and people have so many different approaches, and there's so many different kinds of teachings about how to do auditions. But this is what I have found over the years, the things that I shared with you today. And I really hope that it'll help you to simplify your audition process and to have a very effective audition process. And hey, even today, I still sometimes make a mistake and choose somebody that I find out halfway through the season I really shouldn't have chosen. It happens, right? Because we're human. We're in a moment. There's all these factors of emotion, physical, how I'm feeling physically, lots of things, the stress that I'm under, whatever. Lots of things can affect. But of course, we should get better at it as we do it more and more and more and more. Anyway, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please check out all the other things that are on our channel. There's such a variety of interesting things, I think, to look at, and things that I believe will be helpful if you are a person like me who loves the voice and who loves singing. Thanks so much for watching again, and until we see each other next time, please take care of yourself.